Okay, so our facilitator is here, but still we are due of some registered participants. So we will, I guess, we will spare a few minutes for them to join up, and then we will start off with the workshop. Hi everyone. So good evening and warmly welcome you all for this the Smart Candidate Workshop on effective CV writing and interview facing skill enhancement. So today, on behalf of Leo Club of Colombo New Century, we would like to we have a facilitator here who is Mr. Pubudiga Vijayawardena, the HR executive of Cinnamon Lakeside Hotels. So he's going to teach us today on uh, how to brush up your, I mean, from the beginning of what is a CV and what is an effective CV from there and towards how to create an effective CV as well as how to face an interview and ace an interview in order to become the perfect and ideal candidate for an employer of your choice. So wish you all the very best, guys, and make the most of the use of this workshop. So I will now invite Mr. Pubudika Vijayawardena to start off with the proceedings. Yeah, over to you, Mr. Prabhudika.
All right. Thank you so much, Leo Sabin Pereira. I hope everyone can hear me. Is that so?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Fine. All right. Okay. I believe there are about 86 participants as of now. Sorry, 85 participants as of now. So anyway, before we start up with this session, I would like to know what sort of audience is there. I think most are from most of y'all are from Leo Club, or else are there anyone who are from coming from outside?
We have non-Leo audience as well.
All right, fine, okay, cool. Because why I wanted to, okay, I think there might be students who are still studying and maybe looking for prospective job opportunities in the future, as well as there might be in this audience there might be people who are actually seeking out for job opportunities, if I'm not mistaken, Savin.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Fine. So now anyway, this session will be beneficial for both of these categories, because even the students who are actually studying at this moment right now, they also maybe in another maybe 2 or 3 years time, after completing their higher studies, they'll be also looking into basically looking to get job opportunities in the job market. So I think this would be beneficial for all of your guys. I believe that. Okay, so now this workshop is actually on effective CV writing, and the second topic that I would be covering up would be how to face an interview properly. When you apply, when you actually at the interview, I mean, like the initial part would be how you have to write an effective CV, and the second part would be how you have to face for an interview in a proper manner. All right. So anyway, like I think most of you all must be knowing the first part or the initial part would be writing a proper CV or an effective CV, because with your CV only, the first impression is actually given to the respective or the relevant interviewer or the employer. Okay, and if you actually present yourself, I mean, like if you prepare an effective CV only, then you would be either called for an interview or maybe shortlisted for an interview, and so on. So writing an effective CV is a must, and that's the initial part. All right. So if we move on to the first slide, in the first slide, yeah, in the first slide, we'll be talking about the learning outcomes and the objectives of this workshop. Workshop in the sense like effective CV writing. So first, I believe that most of you all know, but there might be students who don't know as well, who are still maybe studying O levels or A levels, or maybe studying their higher studies. So the first thing that we need to know is what is a CV.
Excuse me, Mr. Pabudika, would you be able to switch on your camera if you do not mind?
Yeah, sure, fine. Am I visible to you all?
Yeah, if you could pan it a bit downwards. All right, now it's okay. Yeah.
All right. Okay, fine. So the first, as the initial stage, you need to know what is a CV or a resume. CV stands for what? Curriculum vitae. I believe that most of you all know. And then we need to think, or else we need to consider, why do we have to prepare a CV? Basically, it's the purpose of preparing a CV. And then the contents that would be included in an effective CV. And then after that, how do we prepare an effective CV? The possible ways. And what are common mistakes done when you're preparing an effective CV? And also with that, how to mitigate those common mistakes that you usually do when you're preparing an effective CV. Last, but not least, the benefits that you gain by writing an effective CV. So that would be the those points would be discussed during this session, and that will be the learning outcome of this particular workshop, which is actually effective CV writing. Okay, so first of all, as we discussed earlier, discussed earlier, first we'll actually know what is a CV or a resume. All right. So a curriculum vitae or a CV, in Latin words, it is called as course of life. So basically, it's about the life in terms of Latin. Actually, there is no such definition for a CV, but some of the people they have come up with certain definitions and all that. But now here, of course, it says the British definition is the British definition for a CV is a document giving details of the qualifications that you possess and the jobs that you have done during the past, and these details you have to present when you're applying for a particular job position in a very summarized manner. So that is basically what you mean by a CV. A CV is a document. It could be a printed. It could be in printed form. It could be in written form. It could be in any form. It is a document which contains details of your personal details as well as your qualifications, the past experience, work experience, and maybe you can include your hobbies and interests, communities, and all of these things will be in a summarized format, and that will be presented to an employer when you're applying for a particular job position, and that has to be done in a very summarized manner. And like I told you before, CV could be printed in several formats, such as handwritten, as well as soft copy. Because when you actually send in a CV, which is in a CV, and through email, then it will become a soft copy. Only when we get it printed, it will become a printed form, or else a person could write a CV in just in a piece of paper with his own hands, using a pen or a pencil or whatever. So now you know the basic understanding about what is a CV or a resume, and then we'll talk about why do we prepare a CV, the purpose of preparing a CV. Sabin, are you trying to contact me?
Yes, Mr. Babudika, I think there are some participants who are quite not hearing you. Can everybody hear? Is there anyone who cannot hear Mr. Babudika? Is everyone, can you guys hear us? Yeah, I think you may continue, Mr. Babudika.
I think everybody's hearing, no? I'm
Yeah.
properly. Okay. Okay. So then we'll be focusing on why do we have to prepare a CV, the purpose. So basically, okay, fine. Before I just go into details on this particular subject matter, I would like to ask from anyone from this audience, why do we have to prepare a CV? The reasons, don't just tell whatever the contents which are mentioned over here, but maybe you can suggest some answers, or maybe you can tell us what you know on why we need to prepare a CV. Anyone? All right, fine. Okay, so basically the purpose is, okay, there are so many reasons, or basically there are so many purposes that we actually prepare a CV. But actually I have mentioned 3 points here, which of course we'll be going through in short while. So yeah, we'll start up with the first point. To introduce oneself to prospective employer with the hope of getting shortlisted for an interview or even to get selected for the job applied for. So the basic idea of preparing a CV is to introduce ourselves to a prospective employer. Now, like I told you before, we might be applying for several job opportunities, or whatever the job positions that we actually go through, or maybe the positions that we are interested in applying. When you see such opportunities, yes, you yourself want to apply, then for you to apply for a job opportunity, you need to have a CV, and this is the way you actually present yourself to this prospective employer. And also the CV is not required only to not only for you to get selected. Maybe there are so many people who may be interested in and who may require to get the job. So as the initial stage, you need to get shortlisted for the particular job that you want to apply for. So after getting shortlisted, only there could be other interviews, there could be many other tests that you need to do, and finally after everything is done, only you will be selected for the job that you have applied for. The second point would be to use it as a marketing tool of yourself, as the first impression is the one which lasts. So like I told you before, now the CV, I think in the beginning I have told you that this is the first or the initial stage where we actually present ourselves to a prospective employer. So the first impression is the one which lasts. So this CV could be used as a marketing tool of yourself. So with this particular tool, which is called as CV, you'll be marketing yourself. And with that impression that you create at the initial stage, that will be lasting forever until you get the job, maybe. And the third point would be to provide various information that might be looked into by prospective recruiter or the employer. So these employers or the now basically a position will be advertised on a media when there's a vacancy. If there's a vacancy only, it will be advertised. Maybe I believe that most of you all know top medias like Top Jobs, okay, where we actually seek for job opportunities. So a company or an employer would be posting a job advertisement on these kind of places when there's a vacancy. When there's a vacancy, so these recruiters or the employers or the companies, they need to have various type of information about you yourself for them to take certain decisions. Basically, to when you actually selected for a particular job, they need to various information. They need to have various information on you. So that is what been explained by the third point. So basically, now you know the purpose of preparing a CV as well. Then we'll move on to the next slide, which will give you a basic idea about the contents in an effective CV. I think this also most of you all must be knowing, or else if there are people those who don't know, they can of course look into it. Anyway, I'll at the final stage, before we conclude this session, I'll show you sample format of an effective CV so that we can go through that as well. So the contents of an effective CV, you can actually, this is in a kind of like very summarized form. You have to explain these things in detail when you're actually writing a CV, but most of these would be included in an effective CV. First thing is personal details, such as name, address, contact number, date of birth. You can also add the age and the email address. Especially when it comes to personal details, there are actually a couple of things which you need to include, which are actually mandatory to include. That would be, of course, the name has to be mentioned, because since you are the person who is applying for the job position, you need to give your name. Otherwise, the job seeker won't be able to identify whom you are. And of course, the contact number, because I have seen with my personal experience, I have seen that when we receive CVs, we actually receive CVs in bulk. So when we actually go through CVs and when we shortlist CVs, and when we want to call them, maybe for an interview or maybe for a telephonic interview, if we want want to call them,
Mr. Pabudika, you got stuck for
I
a
think
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I think I have. Yeah,
Could you
let me
recap?
share. Yeah, let me share the screen. Can every one of y'all see the presentation?
Yes, Mr. Pabudika, we can see your screen.
All right, fine. Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience because actually I have connected through my mobile phone. I was getting a call and I had to disregard that call, and then only I got connected again. I'm really sorry on that. So yeah, so some of the personal details which are mandatory would be the name, contact number, and maybe the email address also, because certain times certain organizations, they do not, they are actually getting lot of CVs and they are getting CVs in a very bulk manner. They will be sending a confirmation, or maybe if they want to call you for an interview, they will be sending a confirmation through an email. So for them to send you an email, you need to clearly give your email address. Then only the company or the recruiter can send you the confirmation of whatever it is. The second point would be the professional profile. So I think most of y'all must be knowing what is the professional profile. It is actually a profile where it says about yourself. So basically, in an interview, usually I don't know whether you must have experienced this, but those who have experienced, they must be knowing. In an interview, most of the time, before the start, the interviewer asks from you about yourself, and then you have to tell about yourself, what you have done, where are coming from, everything you need to tell. So in this professional profile, likewise, you need to give details about you, the skills or the type of person you are, basically, when it comes to professional life. And then we would be having core skills, or rather we could call them as special skills. Now when you're giving core skills or special skills, I think now this mistake, of course, anyway we'll be talking about it later on, but since we're talking about this particular content, I have seen people, most of the people, they use these wordings, such as decision making skills, problem solving skills, communication, especially communication skills. So those type of skills are called as soft skills. Soft skills are the skills which are actually required for everyone, for whatever the job, for whatever the position, for whatever the job opportunity that you're applying for. Doesn't matter, you need to have soft skills, communication, things like communication skills, problem solving skills, because those are mandatory. So we don't need to mention those kind of skills under core skills or special skills. Those have to be hard skills that you possess, maybe skills that are relevant to your particular position. I hope everyone can understand what I'm saying. If not, just tell me so that I could tell them in Sinhalese as well. Are there anyone? I mean, I believe everyone can understand.
Yeah, Mr. Pabudika, as of now, we have not received any concern. If so, I will let you know. Yeah.
Okay,
You may
then we'll
continue.
continue. If there's anything, just let me know so that I'll I can convert them into Sinhalese as well.
Surely.
Okay. So basically, under core skills or special skills, you need to mention whatever the skills that you possess, and what you believe, the skills that you believe, which may be required for the job opportunity, for the particular job position that you're applying for. For an example, if we say, if we say a person is applying for a maintenance technician position, which comes under engineering department, a maintenance technician, that is the job role, maintenance technician. So that the person who is applying for that particular opportunity, he doesn't need to say under special or under core skills or special skills that he possesses communication skills or decision making skills likewise, because all these skills are mandatory to everybody, irrespective of the level, irrespective of the position. But maybe he could include a skill where we can say something which is relevant to his position and may not be required for another job opportunity. Okay, he can include those kind of skills there. And then we have the career summary or the work experience. In I think in simple terms, if we call it as work experience, that would be better. So then we have to actually give the details on our work experience. Later on, there are certain things which we need, which we are covering. Sorry. Sabine, I think I got a problem on the screen share. Is it the was there kind of like line that went through the slide, or?
Yeah, it just I'm seeing a strain of I think some sort of a brush stroke or something, but I don't think it's a big problem.
Okay, fine. We'll continue then. I don't know the reason, but
Hope
okay,
everyone
fine.
is clear. I guess. I mean, if everyone is not clear on what they are seeing, feel free to ask, please.
Okay, so under work experience, of course, there is later on there's a point that we when we actually go through the sample format, then of course I can show you exactly how you have to write and how you actually need to mention the work experience that we have that we have actually had in the past, or maybe even the places that you are currently working. Of course, you can mention there. And then we have the education and other qualifications. So higher education, your secondary education, all the other and the qualifications that you possess, professional qualifications, everything you can mention under that particular category. And then finally, we non-related references. Non-related references. So you might need to provide non-related referees as well, in case if the employer or the recruiter needs to find out, needs to find out on your previous work experience, whether you have had any kind of like behavioral issues or disciplinary issues when you have been working in the previous places. Those things could be checked by getting through non-related referees. Most of the time, we actually ask the from mostly in my case, most of the time I actually ask the candidates to give their previous employers contact details as non-related referees, as non-related references, so that I should be able to call them and check on them whether this particular candidate has how was his conduct during his tenure, and what are the things whether there are any things that he has done bad to this company, whether they have had any kind of like behavioral issues, disciplinary issues when they were working there. So those type of things we can actually check with them. All right. So I think most of you have got an idea about the contents that we have in an effective CV. All right. If we move on. Yeah. Give me a second. Then we need to consider on this particular question, how do we prepare an effective CV? When basically when you prepare an effective CV, there are several questions that you need to ask. There are actually 5 questions that you need to look into, and then before you actually prepare a CV, you need to go through these points or the questions, and you have to answer these questions before you prepare the CV. So the first point would be, what research needs to be done before you start writing a CV. Now, I think now this I mean, later on we're actually talking about the common mistakes that we do when preparing an effective CV. So under that also we'll be covering some of these points. So the first point is also being covered there, because most of the people they tend to do this particular mistake. Most of the even certain times I could say even I have done the same mistake. No, not very recently, but like some time back when I was applying for the first job or maybe the second job. So this mistake is done usually by people because most of us we do not think of this. Before you write a CV, you need to do a proper research. Where do you need to do a proper research on what? So I believe now when I actually applying for a particular job role, then you need to do a research on that particular job role. What type of because you might need to know what are the things which are what sort of qualifications which are required under this particular job role. What type of experience that you need to possess to apply for a job position like that. So these sort of things need, and you of course need to know these things before you apply for a before you actually prepare a CV. So then only you'll be knowing, okay, how I need to actually how I need to cater what's the methods that I need to use to cater this cater my qualifications or the skill set that I possess to the prospective employer, the ways, and what type of job opportunity am I looking for actually. Is this the correct job that I'm actually looking into? Because most of us we tend to do this mistake. Okay, we say, okay, whatever the job that I think Sabine, most of our students, they do these mistakes, right, Sabine? Now for an example, when when actually because I have experienced this I have actually experienced this when I was actually applying when I was actually going for interviews, when I was actually applying for job opportunities at the initial stage, even straight after coming out from the university, when I wanted to apply for job opportunities in the CVs. Of course, I have made the CVs, but I have not made them tailor into the particular job position that I'm applying for. So research has to be conducted before you start writing your CV. Research on the particular job opportunity that you're applying for. Research on the company also, because you need to know what was the company actually that you're applying for and the position that you're applying for. Okay, so research doing a research is a mandatory thing that we actually miss. When we are writing a CV. So that's the first point. And then second, you need to know how to structure your CV to best please recruiters and hiring managers. The structuring part. I think in the previous slide, we have gone through the contents. So those contents have to be structured in an effective way so that the recruiters or the hiring managers will be pleased when they actually go through your CV and when they look into your CV. Anyway, we'll go into those kind of details in the later time when we talk about mistakes, the common mistakes also, and also there's a particular part where do we talk about the structuring and the formatting. At that stage, we'll talk about these things in detail. So just for your information, you need to know how to structure your CV in order to please your recruiters and hiring managers. And then you need to format your CV in a professional manner. Okay. Again, that part also will be covered at the formatting and structuring part, because most of us we do mistakes when we actually structuring and formatting our CVs. So during that stage, of course, we'll talk about these things. These things. And then the fourth point would be how to write a profile that will grab recruiters' attention. How to write a profile that will grab recruiters' attention. So basically, you need to know the possible ways that you could use to grab recruiters' attention. So which means, again, it is something something which is similar to the second point that we have mentioned here, where we please recruiters and hiring managers by our CV. So it's almost the same thing. We need to write a profile that will grab recruiters' attention, or maybe they'll be pleased. The recruiters will be pleased with the profile that we actually present to them. And then lastly, we have how to detail your work experience and education. Again, that will also be covered under these common mistakes part. So at that, I think it will be easy for you to understand at that stage about that as well. Then if we move on, yeah, okay. Now we have come to the common mistakes done when we prepare an effective CV. Also, we'll be talking about how to mitigate them. Okay, so give me a second. Yeah. So in this slide, it says there could be so many mistakes that we could do when we are writing an effective CV. But of course, now of course I have actually structured this slide in a very simple format, because there are so many mistakes that we do, but all these mistakes are actually do actually comes under these two categories. So of course, so it will be difficult for me. So it will be easy for me to explain to you without going into detail on whatever the mistakes that we do when we actually preparing an effective CV. And also at the same time, I'll be briefing on how to mitigate those mistakes before we actually prepare, so that it will be a proactive action. The first point would be preparing a CV without doing a proper research on the job position that you're applying for. Yeah, I think I have explained this point in the previous slide. Preparing a CV without doing a proper research. Like I told you before, if we don't do a research on the job that we are applying for, then of course the whole point of preparing a CV is lost. So as I told you in the previous slide, So this is a mandatory thing. This is a mandatory part which you need to consider when you're preparing a CV. You need to do a proper research on the job position, as well as not only the job position, as well as the company, and maybe there are other areas where you need to put yourself into and do a research.
Mr. Pabudika, excuse me.
Sorry.
Like, if you can explain that part with an example, like if we consider a particular job role and a company with an example, yeah.
Yes. Now we'll say, for an example, this mistake is commonly used when this mistake can be commonly seen if we talk about we'll say a finance executive for a position of finance executive or a financial assistant, then you actually report into the finance department. Okay, where now we'll say a person or a student who comes out from the university. Maybe he has done a degree, a general degree, not specialized into one particular area, a general degree, and then he might be having skills on we'll say marketing. He has skills on marketing, but now for an example, if that person does not do a research, and then we'll say he just sees that there's a vacancy for a financial assistant or a financial executive, and he believes that okay, he can do it, and then he straight away apply for the opportunity without looking into areas where because he might not be knowing what type of work he needs to carry out, what type of things, what type of qualifications that he needs to possess, what type of skill set that he needs to possess. Likewise, so a person who is having marketing skills, a person who may be having a marketing background when it comes to qualification, because this person has straight away come out from the university and he doesn't have previous experience also. So in a case of in a situation like that, he need to do a research before he apply for a job opportunity where he actually mostly fit into. So I believe that clarification enough.
Yes, that's really, that really sufficed. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So doing a research is a must before you actually prepare a CV. Okay, doing a research on the job position, on the company, okay, and the qualifications that you possess. Basically, you have to compare your qualifications against the job position that you're applying for. Then only you will be knowing where you need to be, where you actually fits into. The second point would be incorrect structuring and formatting of your CV, and that will lead to that will lead to go out of the professionalism manner. So like I told you before in the previous slide, I think I'll go to that slide so that I can show you. Yeah, here it says the second point and the third point, how to structure your CV, and the third point would be how to format your CV. So these 2 points will be covered under this common mistake that we actually most of us do. So first we talk about incorrect formatting. So I think most of y'all must have experience, or most of y'all must be knowing. Now, even we have gone through CVs like that. In my personal experience, I have gone through CVs like that, where CVs we receive CVs with now most of the time these job seekers, those who actually like send us CVs through emails, they actually when we actually go through their CVs, they have prepared their CVs by using different types of fonts, different types of fonts. Okay, actually I don't have a kind of like sample format with me, but I believe that most of you all have seen. Okay, it's, I mean, like if you look into that CV, then of course you see, yeah, it's kind of like very funny thing, because yeah, the job seeker or the applicant may think that, yeah, that is the way you have to stand out from others. And if you actually use different types of fonts, and if you use italics and everything in your CV, then it will be standing out from other CVs, because others have, maybe others do in the proper way, and you are the one who is doing it in proper way. So that the person will be thinking, okay, I want to stand out from others, and thinking that he will be doing like that. But finally, when it comes to like when the from the recruiter side, when the recruiter actually goes through these CVs, as the first impression, he would think, okay, this person doesn't know how to even format, how to even use the proper fonts for the usage of proper fonts in the CV when you're writing the CV. And also it includes colors, because I have seen CVs where the applicants or the candidates have used more than maybe 2 or 3 colors, so that the applicant thinks that the CV is very colorful, and that will encourage uh, the prospective employer or the recruiter to select him without selecting others, because his CV is very colorful than other CVs. So that those are kind of like mistakes that I think Samin, I think you must have also seen those kind of things, those kind of CVs, or maybe if you have gone through, I believe.
Yeah, yes. Most of the time, like how to, I mean, some CVs they have like weird fonts like brushstroke and all that, where we
They might,
see
yeah, they might
quite
be thinking
tedious.
that, yeah, they might be thinking that, yeah, it will stand out actually from other CVs, so that definitely they will get the opportunity. But then again, the from the perspective of the recruiter, or the perspective from the the company, the employer, definitely that is a CV which will be not considered at the first place. So you need to ensure that you use proper fonts and colors when you're actually preparing a CV. And then improper length of the CV. Now the length of the CV, usually there is no such particular standard, but usually we say in the normal, I mean, like in normal scenario, in the general scenario, we used to say a CV has to be with not less than 2 pages, or not more than 2 pages. Most of the time we do actually tend to make it more lengthy, so that by using a lot of words, by using huge descriptions and everything, we tend to do these things, because we, from our end, we think that, okay, now I might not be doing a job. So now after coming out from the university, I might be thinking, okay, and I need to now apply for a job, and then I just see a particular position, maybe an internship, and then I want to apply to that particular position. Since I'm not doing anything, I don't have any kind of like work experience, so I'll be giving my full time on preparing the CV. So I'll be using a lot of all these words, all these the kind of like big words and everything, and then also you tend to use descriptive the what you call descriptive sentences. Okay, so by doing so, you think that yes, of course, you'll be actually you'll be giving your level best to please the recruiter or the employee. But I think now from the employer side, because this part, they most of these job seekers or the applicants who actually start their career, they don't know about this particular part, because in kind of like even in small companies also it's the same thing, but mostly when you're applying for a big company, a group where you have a lot of employees, and where you get lots of CVs for a particular position, then the recruiters find themselves difficult to read go through the CVs if it is in a very kind of like descriptive manner, which means if the CV is too lengthy, then it will make it difficult for the recruiters or the person who is actually going through the CV, the screening process of the CV, the person who is actually doing the screening process. It will be definitely difficult for him to go through all go through all these CVs. Maybe he would be receiving thousands and thousands or hundreds of CVs, and daily he or she might have to go through all these CVs, because he needs to shortlist either one CV or maybe a set of CVs for the interviews. So when you're actually going through these CVs, those CVs need to be in a very summarized format. I think in the maybe in the first slide or the second slide, I have actually mentioned the word summarize. A CV has to be very summarized. You need to have everything that you need to put, but don't put anything which are not relevant which are not actually relevant. You don't need to include any irrelevant wordings or letters or anything. So uh, it has to be lengthy enough, but not too lengthy. Lengthy enough to give your whole picture in maybe within 2 pages or maybe 1.5 pages. Okay, and then the third one would be improper sectioning of the CV. So that is basically about when you're actually sectioning. I think sectioning in the sense like I'll go to the previous slide to show you. I think now when you all went through the slide where we had contents. So when you actually, so these are basically the headings: work experience, your professional profile, your education and qualifications background. So these are sections or the headings. So sectioning part is really important, and you need to know the flow of the sectioning. So basically, usually I'll just tell you, this is, this mistake is not done very commonly, but I'll tell you for an example. If a person just start up giving the non-related referees at the first place, is it the correct way? No, right? Because you have to first of all give your personal details, so that the person who is screening the CV, he or she will know your details first, and then you need to come up with the professional profile, where you give a kind of like brief description who you are and what you have done with regard to your professional work life, and then you will be talking about your work experience. Okay, so this sectioning part is also very important, because I have seen some applicants with my previous experience. I have seen some of the candidates, the prospective candidates, they have actually when they actually mention the headings or the section, when they actually section their CV, they have done it in the wrong manner, so that it will be very difficult for the recruiter or the person who is screening the CVs. It will be difficult for him to get whatever the information that he or she requires. So it is very important in when you actually sectioning your CV, when you're actually preparing your CV. And also usage of board now the usually in the standard format, there is no such standard format, but in most of the CVs we call the CVs that we call as good CVs. In those kind of CVs, yes, you will find it where all the headings are in bold color, whereas the rest of the things are not in bold, so that it will the headings will be standing out from the description, so that it will be easy. It will make it easy for the person who is screening the CVs to actually know and to actually go to the section that he or she needs to know. If we move on, then as a second point, we'll be talking about incorrect structuring of the CV. Again, now as the first point, I would say name and contact details are shown in improper locations of the CV, or sometimes they forget to include this information. Like I told you before, now when you're actually preparing a CV, your name and contact details, your personal details have to be in the top of the CV, because now name, at least the name and the contact number. You may not, you can include the personal details. I have seen that most of the students, they have included their personal details at the latter part. That is okay, but at least, even if you do so, at least the name and the contact number has to be written on the top, maybe the left corner or the top right corner, so that it will be easy for the recruiters to, if the person wants to contact you immediately, and if the person goes through your CV and see, okay, now he or she will feel like, okay, you're the, okay, now this particular candidate be a good candidate, so that I can so that we can for an interview. So in that case, it will be easy for the recruiter to contact you if you have given the contact details and your name on the top of the CV, rather than including them in the latter part. You can of course include them in the latter part with the with your personal details, but at least the name and contact details have to be written on the top of the CV. And then we are talking about the professional profile. Like I told you before, professional profile is the description that we actually, I think if I show you the sample format, it will be easy for you to understand. Give me a second. Okay, now I think most of you all can see. Now, now we have given the, Sabin, is there any possibility that I can show, I mean, like highlight or, show certain things in this slideshow? Is it possible?
Technically, you mean, Mr. Bodiga?
No, if I want to know, now if I want to highlight certain area, certain location, is it possible?
You may feel free.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Bubdiga, you can use annotations.
Sorry?
You can use the annotations in your screen.
Okay, fine. Sabin, I'm getting a call right now from my boss. Is it okay if you could just excuse me for about 2 minutes?
Sure, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. All right.
So guys, so far we have received 3 questions. So at the end of the CV writing session, we will certainly be forwarding these questions to the facilitator. Uh, we have 2 questions from Sanjitan and 1 question from Netmini. So we will definitely have the facilitator attended to the same right after the CV session concludes. It will conclude in a short while, and then he will open the room for questions Q&A. So if you have questions in your mind, so you are most welcome to raise at that point. And if you have any clarifications in regarding CVs, you can always ask.
Hello, Sabi.
Yeah, Mr. Pabudiga, you may start off.
10 minutes. I just got an urgent call from office, so that.
No worries. And we have quite a lot of questions on the queue, so we will have them answered in the Q&A session. Mr.
Okay, fine. Okay.
You may
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. Now, anyway, what I wanted to do is basically now we have the sample format here. I wanted to show because since we are talking about the proper proper sectioning, and even I can tell you about the formatting as well. But thing is, if I can use the point, if I can use a point or something to is it visible for you? Is it visible from your end, the pointer, the mouse pointer?
For me, I can of course see. Is there anyone who's having difficulties with seeing this cursor, mouse pointer?
Mouse pointer. I think everybody can see, right? If it is visible for you, I think Paul, I think it must be visible if it is visible for you.
Yeah, we can
I
continue.
hope.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you can see, yeah, basically the placement and the positioning of the CV. So like I told you before, now the name. Okay. Location and email addresses could be used in maybe in the latter part. Now we tend to usually in our, now this is a kind of like uh, not a Sri Lankan format. We could say it is as a British format, because there are so many CV formats. But in Sri Lanka, of course, we do tend to give our personal details in somewhere around here. Just before you give the references, somewhere over here you tend to give your personal details, the full name, and the address, again the contact number, your age, everything you tend to mention here. But whatever it is, even if you mention it over here or here, it doesn't matter. But anyway, even if you mention the contact numbers and the name over here, still it's better, it's actually a must to give your name and the contact number over here, because most of the time the person who is actually engaged in the screening process, he or she yeah, sorry, he or she actually will be straight away go, if the person, if the person who is actually screening your CV, if the person feels that okay, if you are a candidate to be called for an interview, definitely he or she will go to this particular point, so that where he could get your contact number and the name, basically for the person to call you for an interview. So it is better to always position the name and the contact name, at least the name and the contact details over here. And then, like I told you before, the professional profile. I think we have been talking about this, if I'm not mistaken. Just give me a second. yeah, incorrect structuring. So in the sample format, we have to give the name and the contact details, like I showed you before, at the top left corner or the right corner. And then the professional profile is too lengthy and use of non-relevant information. So this is a sample professional profile that we have here. It says this is called as the professional profile, and it's a kind of like descriptive one, but it has to be at the very basic in the sense it has to be in a very brief manner, very summarized manner. You don't need to include all the details that you have, all the details that you can include, but whatever the relevant information that you need to actually present can be included in the professional profile. I hope everyone got it. So the professional profile has to be descriptive, but not too descriptive or not too lengthy. Okay. And then I think at the initial stage, we have been talking about these soft skills and hard skills. So here it says, yeah. Now, when we go to that sample format here, as I told you, yes, we have they have mentioned 4 skills here. Okay, customer service, transaction processing, complaint handling, likewise. Okay, I think like I told you before, now in this sample format, do you see any of these soft skills mentioned here? No, right? Are there any skills like decision making, communication, skills like that? Have you mentioned any skills like that? No, right? Because those are soft skills. We don't need to include because those skills are mandatory for everyone, not only for you, not only for one particular person, but for everyone. So we don't need to mention those soft skills here, but rather we need to mention hard skills. So customer service is relevant, may be relevant for you, but may not be relevant for an engineering person, because the person who is working under the engineering department, that person may not require to have an interaction with the customer or the guest. So customer service is mostly important to a person who is in the marketing field. Also, things like these complaint handling. Again, complaint handling does not need to be done. Will not be done by all the people. For an example, now in our case, in our scenario, I am working in a hotel in Cinnamon Lakes at Colombo. So in the hospitality industry, mostly complaint handling part is done by the front office department, because that is the place where actually guests come and tell what actually raise their complaints and raise their voice. Not the guests won't go to the engineering department and raise their complaint. So likewise, so these kind of skills are the hard skills, not soft skills. I hope the clarification is okay, Sabin.
Yes, and there is a small question we just received in regarding the professional profile, like up to what kind of a word count should we be adhering to? කොච්චර වචන ගානක් තියෙනවද වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇවිල්ලා.
ඒක තමයි සබින් මේ එහෙම වචන ගානක් කියලා අපිට ලිමිට් කරන්න බෑ සබින්. මම ඒක කියන්නේ සබින් the professional profile has to has to contain මම දන්නේ ඔකට සෙයින් එකක් තියෙනවා. අපි කියනවානේ I'll say tell it in Sinhalese. අර කියනවානේ මේ මොකද්ද ස්කර්ට් එකක් ගොඩාක් කොට වෙන්නත් හොඳ නෑ රිවිල් වෙන ගානට, but ගොඩාක් දිග වෙන්නත් හොඳ නෑ. මොකද ඒ වගේ සෙයින් එකක් තමයි. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට අවශ්‍යම දේවල් ටික whatever the relevant and most important things can be included in the professional profile, but not the irrelevant things. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකට word count එකක් කියලා නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ will say will say if you have, you know, if you have, if you can include anyway, it does not, I mean, like ඒක මේ මොනවාද half a page වලට වඩා වැඩි වෙන්නේ එහෙම වෙනව නම් it's not going to be a professional profile. It has to be maybe written within like 4-5 lines. That would be more than enough. 4-5 lines වලින් ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒ ඇති.
Yeah.
මොකද මේ අපිට වගේ ගියොත් එතකොට මේ CV එක මේ ඇත්තටම මේ CV එක ඉඩ යනවා. ඒකෙන්ද අනිවාර්යෙන් 4-5 lines වලින් limit කරන්න. හැබැයි එහෙම word count එකක් කියලා නැහැ. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් 4-5 lines වලින් ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් it will be more than enough.
So that if the professional profile gets limited to 4-5 lines of wordings with, I mean, content with containing whatever the professional experience and all that and the qualifications that the particular individual has, then it should be okay pretty much, believe.
Yeah, for an example, now if we go through this professional profile that the person has written, make a below the penny, you can see what he has written is he has started saying multilingual, some of the words of course I also don't know, multilingual customer service professional with a proven track record in the banking and retail sectors, combined with a customer focused approach to business. In that sentence itself, Savi, it covers the skills, the background he is coming from, and also yeah, basically the skills and the background that he is coming from, and yeah, mostly the skills that he has. I think customer service professional with a proven track record in the banking and retailing services. Here he has mentioned it as a,
it's the same thing which he had described in yeah.
So whatever the things that you are going to write here in a very short descriptive manner, you can give the whole idea in this professional profile. And here it says, with several years of experience in customer facing roles for leading UK banking and retail organizations, I am able to provide an outstanding service with any environment and deal with a broad range of customer needs from initial inquiries through to sales, transactions, and complaint handling. So he actually summarized, I mean, like he has given his professional profile in a very summarized manner. It says, he has mentioned whatever the now here in the career summary also he has given his key responsibilities. No, so also he has given these career responsibilities in a very short manner. Make a balot tere ya karaputta ka thama thana kiyala dinne. And his years of experience, again years of experience, he has not mentioned the period, but he has mentioned that with several years of experience. So now the career summary actually starts from here and it goes up to this point. Sorry, this point. Yeah, he has started his career during 1980, from 1980, and then his last place of work was this particular place. So from here to here, whatever the things that he has, you know, gained knowledge, he has gained skills, whatever the responsibilities or the functions that he has carried out, he has given everything in a very short manner over here, so that if you just go through this professional profile at the initial stage, then you would know as a CV screener or a person who is actually doing a screening, who is doing a CV screening, then you will know where this person belongs to, or else you can see, okay, if this person actually fits for the particular portion that you have actually posted on a media, on a particular media job advertisement. If he actually fits to the job position, you can of course see that. So this is actually, give me a second. Yeah, this is actually a summary of skills and the work experience, basically. Is that okay, Savi?
Yeah, that will be really, yeah, that'll be all. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so if we move on to the previous slide where we have been talking about structuring and formatting, the common mistakes that we do. Yeah, so professional profile has to be, it has to be descriptive, it has to be descriptive, but not too lengthy. And you have to use only the relevant information, but not the but not the irrelevant information. Okay. And the third point, mentioning soft skills and not hard skills. Yeah, that of course also we have discussed. And the career summary or the work experience mentioned not in an order or mentioned but in a chronological order. I know that you all must not be knowing this particular word, chronological order. Is there anyone who knows the meaning of this word, chronological? You can, I think some of you might go to the Google and check on that. Anyone who knows? Yeah, chronological means now usually in a CV, we actually let me show you that sample format. Yeah, usually in a CV, your career, the career summary has to start from the last place that you have worked, or if you are currently working somewhere, the place that you are currently working, and from that point onwards, you need to go backwards. Got my point, right? Okay, I'll tell it in Sinhalese also. මේ career summary එක ලියද්දී අපි දැනට වැඩ කරන තැනේ ඉඳලා ආපස්සට තමයි ලියන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක ඇවිල්ලා මම හිතන්නේ අවරෝහණ කියලා අපි කතා කරේ. ඒ ක්‍රමයට යන්නේ. I believe everybody can understand that the meaning of chronological. Chronological means if you are going from this point to this point, so that is basically the place that you have started initially to the place that are currently working. If this was mentioned here, and if this was mentioned here, and if this was mentioned here, and this here, and if this particular portion is mentioned at the last stage, then that is called as chronological order. Okay, which means in Sinhalese terms, we used to call it as arohana. පොඩි එකේ ඉඳලා ලොකු එකට. sorry, මුල ඉඳලා ඒ කියන්නේ මුල ඉඳලා අගට. ආරෝහණ එක අපි අර time format එකකින් කතා කරන්නේ. From the what, how do you call it? Yeah, from the first from the earliest time to the latest time යනවා නම් තමයි, that is called as the chronological order. If you are going from the latest time to the past time, then it is called as not in the chronological order. Okay, so in a CV, when you are writing the career summary, it has to be against the chronological order, which means you have to write the current place. If you are currently working the current place, or if you are currently not working, and then whatever the latest place that you have worked before, that has to be mentioned here, and from that point onwards, you have to go backwards towards the past. I believe I believe, Sabine, it is understandable.
Yes, descending order. Yeah.
Okay, fine, all right. And then yeah, so we'll move on to the previous slide then. Yeah, so basically those are the so in here, of course, it says if you have not mentioned the career summary or the work experience in an order, or else if you are mentioning but in a chronological order, okay, then you need to see, okay, you have to go against the chronological order, not in the chronological order, but against the chronological order. And also there are people who actually write the work experience, or basically mention the work experience, the career summary, without having a proper order or a pattern. Maybe we'll say, for an example, if the person this person is currently working at this particular place from 2012 to present, and before that he has been working here, and again before that he has been working here. What if this person has mentioned this over here, and this over somewhere here, and this over somewhere here? So it is not in an order, not in any kind of like order. So that is also wrong. And also, if even if you have gone through an order, but starting from this point towards this end, in the chronological order, again is the wrong. It has to be against the chronological order, which means the latest point, and then before that, and the most past one has to be written at the very last point. The previous the earliest place that you have worked has to be written at the last stage of the career summary. Sorry. So I hope that these common mistakes you can understand you can understand with whatever I have showed you from the slideshow. If there are any things, of course, then we'll talk about them during the Q&A session. So if we move on, okay. Finally, we are talking about the benefits that we gain by writing an effective CV. So again, you should be able to grab the attention of recruiters or even the recruiting firms. There are recruiting firms also, which actually, I mean, like for an example, now if we say there are kind of like job positions where it will be very difficult to find people it will be very difficult to find prospective job applicants. Okay, if it is a kind of like very technical, for an example, I can say now once we had a vacancy for a boiler operator, which goes under engineering department, which goes under maintenance. So a boiler operator is a kind of like very different role where we actually don't see too many boiler operators, and most of the companies, they do have an engineering department or a maintenance department, but still these boiler operators will not be in everywhere in all of these companies. They will be required, especially when you operate in a kind of like laundry. These boiler operators will be are required. So when we actually wanted to hire a boiler operator, it was very difficult, and we actually had to call a recruiting firm. And then from the recruiting firm, recruiting firms, they actually focus on getting CVs only. So that firm is actually engaged in the business of getting CVs. So they will be getting lots of CVs, and then they will give us the most suitable or the best possible CVs that we actually can look into. And if a person is selected, then of course we need to pay to that recruiting firm. So that is what their business is. So just to let you know about what is meant by recruiting firms. So the first benefit that you're getting is ability to grab the attention of recruiters or the recruiting firms. Second one would be ability to showcase your suitability to the job position that we applied for. Of course, you can showcase your suitability by preparing a proper effective CV, so that of course you can you can showcase your skills, your talents, your attributes, your qualifications, your work experience, the roles, the responsibilities that you have had before. So all these things you can showcase to your to employer or the recruiter. so that he or she will tend to actually give the job opportunity to you. So that is what meant by the second point. And the third point is ability to create the right mindset. Ability to create the right mindset. By actually creating an effective CV, you are able to create the right mindset on the recruiters or the employer's perspective. So you should be able to create the right mindset in the person who might actually screen your CV, or else the person actually the person who wants to recruit you. Okay. And the fourth point, it will open the doors to lots of opportunities. Again, even if you may not, you may have, even if you have prepared an effective CV, you may not get the job that you have applied for some other reason, but still it will be beneficial for you if you have an effective CV with you, effective and updated CV with you, so that maybe in the future, when there are other job opportunities that you get to know, when you're at the stage that you actually apply for those opportunities, and at that time it will be beneficial for you. Maybe you may be called again for another interview from another company if you have applied for. So it will open the doors to lots of opportunities where you can actually where you can be selected as an employee. Okay. Yeah, anyway, we have gone through the sample format. So again, if you want, you can go through the sample format. So here, of course, again, starting the name and the contact details, email address, everything given here. Then the professional profile, the core skills, the hard skills, but not the soft skills, and the career summary against the chronological order. Again, against the chronological order, from the latest to the oldest, starting from the latest to the oldest. And then we have the education and qualifications part, the section, and then finally non-related referees. And then of course here, of course, in this particular format it's not there, but if you are given a hard copy, then of course what you need to have, Sabine, I think you should be able to tell what do you have to have. Two things you need to have. Sorry?
Signature and date.
Very good. Signature and the date. If you are given in a written, if you are given in a printed form or as a written document, definitely you need to have the signature and the date. Okay. So I think that's the end of the session. So we'll discuss about the questions, and we'll discuss about these questions as we have come to the Q&A session.
Yeah. So first session is over, and we have been receiving quite a few questions to be asked from the facilitator, Mr. Bubudika. So I'll start off with the first question that we received from Sajintan. He had asked regarding professional qualifications. Yeah. So professional qualifications and other qualifications, like if you can mention some examples as to the difference between professional qualifications and other qualifications.
Professional qualifications and other qualifications.
Other qualifications. So in a CV's context.
Yeah. Now to be honest, now different people from, I mean, like different people, they actually come up with different ways of presenting these type of information when it comes to qualifications, because I think you must have also seen some people use the term educational qualifications, and some of the people, they use professional qualifications, academic qualifications, so many types of. Usually we call now usually in this there is no such standard format, but academic qualifications other qualifications where you actually that is basically about your primary qualification, the school that you have studied, you have done your basic O levels or A levels, and then the educational qualifications would be if you have done a degree. Okay, if you have done a degree or an MBA, those will falls under educational qualifications category. And then we will be having the professional qualifications where, for an example, I'll tell you now. We'll say if you are an accountant, okay, you must have done a degree. Okay, you must have done a degree, general degree, BSc, business management degree. But then again, you have done something like CIMA or AAT or CMA. So these type of qualifications are professional qualifications. The meaning of professional is basically the places that the place that you work, or the basically the qualifications that are actually required for you to perform your profession. So those are the professional qualifications, the qualifications which are required for you to perform the particular profession or the job role. So in case of a financial accountant or a financial or a finance executive, for him or her, he or she can include CIMA, Chartered Institute of Management Accounting, or AAT under the professional qualification category. And under education category, basically whatever the degrees, the degrees that you have done, and maybe like when it comes to our industry, normally we take people from hotel schools. Okay, so those students, those who pass out from hotel schools and other institutes, those qualifications comes under education. You can say other or educational qualifications. And also the academic background is basically the schools that you have attended, and basically the primary education that we have gone through, such as in our terms, it's basically O level and A level. Am I okay, Savin? What the clarification is?
Now there is an addition to that question by Tileka, that what if we do not have work experience? Like, is there a specific format to arrange? Now, this is more important to more or less the freshers from universities or school leavers right after the school when applying. If you can say that briefly.
Sorry, Savin, it was not clear to me. I didn't get you properly.
Yeah, like now let's say, am I clear to you, Mr. Hulia?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right. So we have a question that what if a particular individual does not have work experience, and is there any format, like for example, if it's an undergraduate or a school leaver, is there a particular format to organize mainly the professional profile? Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a problem in hearing. I think must be because of the connection issue. Shall I? Is it okay if I turn off the video,
Yeah,
so that
please.
I think
Sure.
to actually hear you properly?
No worries. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll read it out again, that what if a particular individual does not have work experience, uh,
Uh-huh.
for example, an undergraduate or a school leaver for that matter, how do they structure their professional profile or career summary or whatever that is?
Yeah, in that case, of course, he can now, since since the particular person has not worked before, or else if the person has not had any kind of like if he has not had any previous work experience, then he could then of course he could give his details on education background, maybe the not the primary education, but the secondary secondary education, professional, if he has done any again if he has done any professional qualifications, he could give those professional qualifications that he has done. So and also he can give his he can give his personal attributes, where he actually what are the skills that he has. Now, for an example, now maybe a person who is having Photoshop skills, or editing skills, uh, skills on those areas, they could use those skills under hobbies and interests. But then again, those skills he can, if the person is applying for a a position such as we'll say PR executive, public relations executive. So that is basically where the person can show his or her skills on that particular area. So if he has done previously, maybe as a hobby, Photoshop or anything, then of course he can mention those details under this category of professional profile. Because anyway, since he has not done any kind of thing in relation to he has not had any previous experience, he can mention those details under the professional profile.
Okay, and Mr. Pobudika, we have another question, and this was a very much expected question coming from a Leo, actually, Leo Sudan Rajkumar, because like we mostly are engaged in leadership and social activities. So in terms of leadership and sports, if we say, so how do we add, and are we supposed to add, and how do we add if so?
You're talking about leadership skills.
Skills and voluntary work and sports and all that.
Yeah, it is, of course. Yeah, those are not kind of like mandatory stuff. That is what I told you. Now this is the format that I have showed you before. That was actually a very basic format, but it contained whatever the important things that it had to contain. It is not it is I mean, like now we'll say you're not, I mean, like you're not told not to include that, because in our context, of course, we actually mention what you call the extracurricular activities that we have done. I think you must be referring to that part, right? The extracurricular activities that we have done, the sports extracurricular activities.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So those things, of course, in our case, of course, we do mention, but like I told before, now that particular format, I think that was a kind of like British format, or maybe US something which is not being used by not used under the Sri Lankan context. So in our context, of course, you can give the extracurricular activities that you have done and the sports achievements, everything, just before you actually finish your CV. That is basically once you give your work summary, the career summary, then of course you can give those details under the category of extracurricular activities and sports and achievements.
Okay.
And then finish up writing the CV with the non-related referees, or maybe before that you can give the hobbies and interests if you would like to.
Okay, and Mr. Pobudika, by the way, like, is there a particular font size for a CV?
For a CV to be, usually there is, as I believe, there is no such font size or anything. But usually, I mean, like, not in that, there is no such standard. But usually, when we actually like say in it, sorry, I think I was asked to turn on my video. Yeah. So when we actually like, what was the question again? Sorry.
If is there a recommended font size for a CV?
Yeah. So there is no such standard on the font size, but usually we used to call it as the font size of 12, that would be more than enough.
Okay. And also, is there a particular page count? Like there are some companies who are asking for single page, and also there are individuals who are questioning about how the printing should be done, whether it's one-sided or both-sided. Can you answer those two questions as well?
No. Anyway, like using both sides, that would be okay. There is no issue on having I mean, like there is no such standard where it says it has to be one-sided or you can't use both sides. There is no such rule. If you would like to, you can go with the two-page style, or even if it is one-page style, it would be okay. All right.
Okay, and is there when in terms of attracting the recruiters, like, is there a recommendation that the CV should be only one page?
I didn't get you. Again, the
Um,
same question.
is there a is there a particular standard as to the CV should be only one page?
One page. You mean you have to like conclude the whole CV in one single page?
Yes, yes. Is it recommended that it should be like that, or can they go for a two-page CV? So anything?
Yeah. I mean, there is no such recommendation, but the thing is,
Uh-huh.
I don't think that it will be possible for you to do all this, at least to include these mandatory things within one single page. Definitely, you need two pages, at least 1.5 pages, because
Indeed,
you need to give your work experience, everything.
indeed, indeed.
So I don't think that it will be easy. But for a person who has not had previous work experience, he could do it. But then again, still with the information, with the relevant information, it will be a bit difficult, I believe.
Okay,
It
and
of course manage whatever the content, the mandatory things that we talked about, those things have to be there.
okay, and is there a particular now? Let's say for an example, if a particular individual has no experience, uh, I think I got the problem in Sinhala is as to කිසිම පළපුරුද්දක් නැති කෙනෙකුට තමන්ගේ තියෙන interests සහ මේ ඒ වගේ දේවල් job එකට related නම් may දාන්න
Mhm.
පුළුවන්ද as to whether if they don't have any work experiences, can they put interests related to the job that they're applying on?
That's what I told you about previously. Now we'll say if a person has done maybe අර අපිට තියෙනවනේ මේ Photoshop පනම් මනම් පොඩි පොඩි පොඩි
Oh,
කාලේ එහෙම just same ඒවා කරපු කෙනෙක්ට maybe if he has if now he's having the interest in that side, maybe he's having the interest in that side,
yeah.
and also he may have not worked something which relates to that particular something which has something which requires that those kind of what you call attributes or or the qualifications or whatever it is. So then of course that person can make use of these skills, the interest that he has towards those kind of like abilities. He can make use of those to apply for a job which is relevant to that particular field. I would say that particular field. So he can make use of those interests or the skills which falls into that particular field. He can, yes, he can use that. I think was it clear enough, or you want me to clarify it furthermore? Hello. Sami.
I think Mr. Ubudika, there is a connection issue with Shavin. Oh, Shavin is there. He's back.
7 is there. Fine. Okay.
So I hope the question was clarified, Mr. Pabudika, by you. I'm sorry that I was not there.
The question was basically, again, I'll just, when have you or no working experience, is it possible to add interest related to the particular job up to the professional profile? Yes, of course, that is possible. Yes. Possible to include personal information, skills, language, in one separate. Sabin, one small question. What do you mean by is it possible to include personal information, skills, language, competencies in one separate column? What do you mean by separate column?
Mm,
You mean that?
I think the question was raised by Risini.
Okay, I think she must have mentioned. I think she must have saying one separate column means she must have referred to one separate section. Like
Yes.
we had professional profile, work summary, work summary, work experience, career summary. So likewise, we have different sections in the CV.
Yeah.
Personally, likewise. So I think she is asking whether it is it possible to include personal information, skills, language, competencies in a separate section
Yeah.
together.
And, okay. So.
Is that so? I mean,
Yeah.
then of course I can.
Yeah. Then
But
we have
I can,
some.
as I can understand, what she's asking is if we can now personal information, skills, language, competencies, all these three in one particular section. No, actually the question is not that clear to me. What she really wants to know.
Yeah. So for the time being, we will. I mean, we asked recently to come up with proper clarification on that, so that we can have more clarity on the question. Anyway, it has been asked, Mr. Pobudiga, that should an applicant is it a must to have a photograph of the applicant in the CV or not?
Photograph is not a mandatory thing, because if you go to this slide, can I screen share again?
Yeah, please.
Give me a second. Yeah, if you go through this sample format, do you see a profile picture of you? No.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing, because most of now in our context, of course, even not only in our context, but even in other countries also, people used to use their photographs to maybe showcase who you are. But by showing a photograph, it is not showing a photograph is not a mandatory thing. Putting up a photograph of you is not a mandatory thing, but of course you can include. But then again, saying that if you are including a photograph of you, it has to be very professional. Sorry, I couldn't mention that under the common mistakes part. Really, it's really good to. I think who has asked that question?
That just came in from Madara Jayalal right now.
Okay, that's a good question. That was a good question, because I was actually planning to tell about it, but unfortunately I forgot it. So that is also a common mistake that our people do. I think you must have also seen CVs where people used to have these selfies and posting like this and everything. So that's not. I mean, like, by doing so, it doesn't create the professionalism in your CV. So the CV has to be very professional, and therefore it has to contain. If you are putting up a photograph, it has to be very professional. And I think that must be the reason. I think usually it is not to be said to have a photograph. Like it is not. It is. It has not been set as a mandatory requirement for a photograph to be included in the CV.
Okay, and yeah. So we have another question. I'll round up the questions from here and leave it at the end of the next interview session. So in the essence of time that we are struggling with, so
Yeah.
I'll just make it very quick. Tileka Vijayvira is asking if we mention a leadership position we held, is it important to mention our job role, like what we did there when we were in the position? So now, for
Sorry.
example, if you were in a Leo club, there are a lot of Leos are there. So I'll just get that example, which is very close, more or less closer to the context. So if there is a Leo, if the particular individual has been in a Leo club as a club president, for an example, so that's a pretty much of a leadership role. So
Mm-hmm.
do I mean that the job role of a Leo club president should be added to the CV in that particular context as we speak, or how should it be?
Sorry, Simon. I actually didn't hear you properly. Give me a second. I'll put on the.
All right.
Give me a second. Or else, will it be possible for you to mention on the WhatsApp group so that it will
I'll
be
type it up. Yeah.
can answer for that question?
Yeah, I just forwarded you the question.
Yeah. If we mention a leadership position we held, it's important to mention our job role, like what we did when we were in that position. Okay. So here, of course, she must be referring uh, she has not done. If the person has not done any kind of work before, if he has not worked before, if he doesn't have any prior working experience or anything, without having prior working experience, but if the person has undergone maybe something like Leo, and under the Leo, if he has held if the person has held the position of maybe the club president or the secretary post, whether we can include the job role or the responsibilities which were under that particular role uh, in the CV. Is it what the person is asking?
Supposedly, yes, I believe.
Yeah, of course you can include those information not under career summary, because of course she has not worked before, the person has not worked before, no. So definitely you can include those details again under the extracurricular activities, because if you say extracurricular activities, yeah, those things, those portions that you have held under these what we call these
Leo.
extracurricular, I mean, yeah, maybe for an example, yeah, if you have held the position of Leo club district president, then that part has to be anyway mentioned under the section of extracurricular activities and other achievements, sports and other achievements. So if you are going to write it under that particular category, then of course you can in a very brief manner, you can give a description on the job role, on the role that you have performed under that particular leadership category. So anyway, these type of things comes under the category of extracurricular activities, sports, and other achievements.
Okay, Mr. Babudika, so there is one last small question, if you can answer very briefly, which is what is the difference between a resume, a CV, and a biodata? So if you can make it very quick.
Hello.
Hello.
Get you properly. The difference between the
Difference between a resume, a CV, and a biodata. If you can answer very quickly, please.
a resume, a CV, and a biodata.
Yeah.
Yeah. actually like now it is a kind of like question which is bit difficult to answer, because now you see, now most of our people, we used to call all these three I'm like, it's the same thing in our text, in our context. CV, resume, biodata, it's the same thing, but it actually differs from one to other. The difference, of course, I have also not gone through that, because even in, I think even in these slides also I have used both the terms resume and the CV, but there's a difference. But still, of course, to be honest, even I have not actually gone through a research. I have not done a research on that. But anyway, it's a good question. So definitely I'll do a research on that and then let you know, so that we could. That's a kind of like good question that the person has asked it. I'll answer that question. I'll answer that question.
And we will certainly forward the feedback to the particular participant of that question.
Yeah.
So
Because now in our context, of course, now even when we are screening CVs, we don't actually like because nowhere we actually say the CV in the CV itself. We doesn't say CV or the resume or whatever it is. We just give these. Now, if you just, I think the screen is shared with you, no?
yeah.
Yeah. Now in this particular CV format, nowhere we actually mention the wording CV or the wording biodata or the wording resume. We have not mentioned, no. So that is not kind of like important thing. But there, of course, there's a difference. Otherwise, there won't be three names for one particular for one particular thing. No, so obviously there has to be a difference. Definitely, I'll look into that and let you know.
Sure, please. And if you can, if we can have the interview facing skills session a bit quicker in the essence of time, please.
Yeah. Now it's almost 9 o'clock because the time has
Yeah.
gone.
Unexpectedly that's gone, and it was very fruitful, hopefully. So if we can move on, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll do it in a kind of like very brief manner, so that it will be easy to understand and grab the knowledge or the information that you require to know how you have to face an interview. Anyway, we'll start up with that session also. Okay, all right. So basically the topic is how to face a job interview properly. So anyway, again, the learning outcome would be we can actually divide it into 4 parts: the learning outcome and the objectives of this particular workshop. So the first thing that you need to know is what is a job interview, and then you need to know how to face a job interview in an effective manner. Of course, you can face any job interviews that you want, but how you are going to make it an effective interview from your end as the interviewee as the interviewee from your end, how you are going to make it an effective interview. Okay, where the interviewer will be happy and will be confident that and he will see that the interviewer will see that you are the best possible fit for this particular position. So how you are going to make him do that? How we are going to change his mindset uh, to select you actually. Okay, and then the benefits of facing a job interview in an effective manner. So the second point is also is the core benefit, but then again there are a few other benefits that you can actually get by facing a job interview in an effective manner. And again, the common mistakes that you do in facing a job interview. So those things we'll be talking about in the coming up slides. So there's a description on what is a job interview. So here it says a job interview is an interview consisting of, so the key points are highlighted in bold. A job interview is an interview. It's an interview, okay? Consisting of a conversation. It has to be a conversation between a job applicant and a representative or representatives of an employer. So which means now I think most of you all have heard the interview board panel. There can be in the interview board panel, there could be only one person, there could be two people, there could be three, or even more than that. Isn't it, Sabi?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So it can be either the one representative from the employer's side, or maybe more than one, two or three. Usually it won't. It will go up to only maximum of three. I have not seen an interview where one person is interviewed by more than 4 or 5 people. So usually the maximum would be 3. Maximum, as I have seen, as I have experienced. So yeah, a job interview is an interview consisting of a conversation between a job applicant, the person who is applying for the job, and a representative or representatives from the employer's side, which is conducted to assess whether the applicant should be hired. So that is a kind of like assessment test done by the interviewer, that is the employer or the representative of the employer, to see if the job applicant can be, or if the job applicant should be hired for the position. In simple terms, it is a conversation which occurs between a potential employer and a job applicant. So that is the basic simple term. Okay. And then if we move on, in the second slide, of course, we talk about how to face a job interview in an effective manner. So you can face a job interview in any way, okay, in any way that you wish, but if the interview has to be an effective interview, I'm talking about actually from the interviewee's perspective, not from the interviewer's perspective, but from the interviewee, the person who is getting interviewed, from his perspective, how an interview, how you have to face for an interview in an effective manner. So in order for you to do that, you have to use your face-to-face communication skills. Okay, so whatever the communication skills that you have. Okay, now if we'll say, for an example, if the interview, usually the interviews are conducted in the language of English, and during the interview process, what sort of gestures or what sort of posture that you need to make use of, and also your communication skills. Most importantly, your communication skills. So whatever the questions which are being asked by the interviewer needs to be clearly, with clarity, has to be answered by the interviewee, the person actually who is getting interviewed. For an example, we'll say if I'm the HR manager. Yeah, Sabin, did you want to call me?
Yes, actually, due to the innocence of time, I think
Okay.
can we do this? If we can move on to the Q&A session of interviews, and then we have pile up of questions lined up for interview aspect as well, so that we can ask them directly.
Okay, fine. All right, sure.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Okay, fine, no worries.
Apologies to jump up in between, but we had some concerns with the time.
Yeah.
So
I think we, of course, okay, because we might be able to use these information when we are actually answering to these questions. So I don't think anyway, because of the time limitation, what is the difference? Yeah.
So number one, there is this most important question that is being asked in an interview, which is how to tackle the salary aspect when the interviewee asked about the salary.
When the interviewer asks about the salary, interviewer.
I'm sorry, yeah,
interviewer. Okay, the person who is conducting the interview, when that particular person asks the question,
what is your expectation of salary, yeah, something like that.
Yes. So how from the interviewee's aspect, how you need to answer to that question. That is what
Yes.
what the
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So yeah, in case if the interviewer or the person who is actually conducting the interview asks you what sort of salary are you looking into, or else uh, actually what type of package you are looking into, then of course now we'll say yes. Of course, you can directly answer, directly say yes. Currently, of course, I am getting somewhere around this. For an example, we'll say now I think it will be much better to use practical examples when we actually answer to those kind of questions. We'll say now, Samin, I think if you can just uh, you can act the role of the interviewer, and then I can, of course, act the role of the interviewee part, so that it will be easy, so
Yeah.
that people can understand, or the audience can understand.
Yeah.
So from the interview, if you can just raise me the question, so that I can now say now we'll say I have applied for the position of guest service assistant in your hotel.
Yeah.
Okay, the HR manager. Now you're asking me the uh, the package, or the what type of salary that I actually looking to.
Yeah. So, what kind of an expectation that you have in terms of remuneration?
Yes, yes. So when you ask like that, okay, my answer, I can of course answer in this way. Yes, sir. I'm currently working. If the person is currently working somewhere, I'm currently working. Since I'm currently working as a uh, uh, as an intern in this particular hotel, in the front office, attached to the front office department, I'm getting a allowance of this much. Okay, I'm getting an allowance of this much, and since I want to build up my, or else build up my career, or rather, since I want to move up in the ladder, of course, I was actually looking out for a kind of like permanent position. So in terms of salary, of course, I may not be giving much focus on to the salary, but rather I want to get experience, and you can tackle the question likewise. Okay, so you can actually like, because if you are afraid to straight away ask, okay, what would be what now I am actually now we'll say, okay, now uh, to be honest, from your side, Sabi, we'll say the salary that you can offer. Now there are salary scales now for different job positions. Now this particular position is the guest service assistant under the front office department. Now I have worked as a front office trainee, just as a trainee intern in another place. Now since I want to actually get the experience, I have come here. Now now you're asking, okay, what sort of package, what sort of expectation that you have in terms of salaries, in terms of remuneration. So I could answer to that. I could answer to that question. Okay, I can straight away say, okay, I want this much of salary. Otherwise, I won't be able to make it. Okay, the minimum salary that I want is this much. So I can tell like that. But I think the more suitable way is, for rather than pulling out the salary part initially, if you can just tell why you want to actually come. You maybe actually want to come because of salary, but then again, we don't need to put it in that way. Rather, we can say, okay, I want to actually uh, come into a good position where I can, build up my knowledge, the sales and everything, because I have been working as a trainee only. Of course, I want to come to a 5-star. Maybe the person has been working in a 3-star, 2-star hotel. Now now the person has applied for a 5-star hotel. So I want to get 5-star experience. So salary is not the thing that I give my most focus on to. Salaries, of course, is considerable. I mean, the salary is a considerable fact, but for the time being, of course, I think I only focus on the experience, the knowledge, skills, and everything. that of course, in terms of salary, then of course you can say yes. In terms of salary, I could expect somewhere around
Okay.
25 to 30, and also it is much better to go with a salary range rather than saying the exact amount. Usually we in general scenario, we actually give the salary in a range between 25 to 35. Okay,
Yeah.
35 to 45. In that case, it will be easy because sometimes you might also not be knowing what the salary package that they can offer. But then again, now these confusions are there. So from the interviewee side, from the person who is getting interviewed, he or she can actually say, I would expect the salary within the range of 25 to 35, whatever the range that he or she wishes to tell. So those are the possible ways. Actually, you can straight away even tell the salary that you require, but
Yeah.
usually that doesn't happen normally because it's not the correct way. Actually, you
Okay.
can't say, okay, let's say now if you want 100,000 rupees, you
Yeah.
can straight away say yes. Of course I can. For this question I want 100,000, or
Yeah.
maybe even you have done research and you have done research covering all these hotels, and the the salary which is being paid to all the hotels, and you take them all together and then you average it by dividing it with the number of hotels that you have taken the information.
Yeah.
But still, it is much better to go with a kind of like range. But before that,
Okay.
prior to that, tell the interviewer that what you really focuses on would be the position or the experience, the knowledge, the skills that you can gain by getting that particular
Yeah.
job position.
Okay. And also there is another question that I mean, we include non-related referees in the CV.
Yeah.
So number one question number one, will they be contacted during the interview or post interview? Number two, how many non-related referees should be added? And number three, whom should we add as non-related referees in a CV?
Yeah. Number 2 and number 3 was clear to me. Number 1, what was the number 1?
Number one, will they be contacting the non-related referees during the interview, or will it be will there be any contact? I mean, any connection with the non-related referees that you have mentioned in the CV?
Yeah. Now, for an example, now we'll say, now most of the time when you say non-related referees, you don't ideally you don't need to use your previous employers, somebody from an employer from your previous working places, employers from your previous working places. But of course, you
Someone
can
who kicked
include,
you out or something.
yeah, if you have worked, maybe if you have worked for 2 companies before, they don't say that it is mandatory to mention somebody from those 2 companies only. There could be non-related referees from other from not only from your previous working places but also from other external sources. For an example, your father might be knowing a person who is a managing director or a director in a particular company, and you could use those details as an unrelated referee, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it? Yeah. So in a case like that, usually we could write anybody, but ideally what I say is, now usually we now from our end, from the interviewer side, or from the recruiter side, okay, we actually do call upon um, uh, referees, where we can get the information on. I think I have mentioned these things during the effective CV writing process. uh, Referees from the previous working places, where we can get information on disciplinary, whether this particular person had gone any disciplinary issues, or whether this person had any kind of like bad record there, the working experience and everything, and and if the person has come up with a service certificate, if the service certificate is accurate. So those things, of course, we need to verify, from our end, from the recruiter's end, because we need to, because if somebody audit us, even we also can be audited uh, by the people appointed by the top level management. So if you are going to be audited, then these things also will be looked into, whether we have done a proper reference check. So that is called as a reference check. So therefore, you can of course give other details, but definitely for the reference check part, we may be asking non-related referees from their previous working places, at least two. So minimum there has to be two either you have to give two non-related referees, but still if you have not mentioned anyone from your previous working places, definitely you need to give two non-related referees from your previous working places. If you have not worked before, then of course that is all right. You can give just maybe somebody from your university where you actually graduated from, and maybe someone whom you closely contacted with, likewise. So I think first question is clear to you, Sabine.
Yeah, both the first and second questions were being clearly answered. And as to, I guess, how many non-related referee part also, I think, had been covered more or less. ඒකත් cover වුණා මම හිතන්නේ.
So ideally it has to be two. I think.
Two. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in essence of time, I believe that we will have to conclude the session for the day, and we will have quite a few questions that are piled up. So we will make sure that each and individual question will be attended by our facilitator, and we will communicate the answers to you all via email. So, and also if you have any other additional questions that you have in mind, you may always email our Leo Club of Colombo New Century email address, which Leo Sanjana will be mentioning in the chat. So I would like to, in order to conclude the session, so I would like to thank extremely, I would like to convey our heartiest gratitude for Mr. Pubudika for coming here today and taking his valuable time on having us on this session. So thank you really very much for joining us today. And it has been so great to have you here. And we had, I mean, I personally, as an undergraduate and a youth, got to know so much of fruitful information in regarding, and I believe the same is with the other participants as well. So, and of course, to mention Mr. Pubudika, there are some other key people that I wish to mention here who's being underside this whole workshop. So number one, I would like to thank Leo Club of Colombo New Century's club president Leo Netmi Sandalika for providing this opportunity to conduct this workshop for all these participants. And we had so many participants coming in from Zoom as well as from YouTube, and this workshop is going live on Facebook as well, as I believe. So we have covered a vast audience. So thank you so much, Leo Netmi, and also the key individual behind the technical aspect of the operation, Leo Sanjana Sitira, the club vice president. And then thank you so much. And we have Leo Praveen Moravaka, Leo Ravindu, Leo Piumi, Leo Sasit, Leo Dumindu, Leo Tenuka, Leo Sandeepa, Leo Ashen, Chatura, Ishan, Harshana, and most importantly, Leo Amanda and Sajani, along with the PR team and all the members of Leo Club of Colombo New Century for all the assistance provided in terms of participation arrangements as well as the support provided. And again, there is another key individual involved in providing us the platform, who is none other than the club president of Leo Club of Gampaha Metro, Leo Tatsara Rajapaksha. Thank you so much for providing us with this platform to conduct this workshop. And there is another individual whom I should thank, Leo Rushini Sandupama, the club president of Leo Club, immediate past club president of Leo Club of ICBT, for her support in allowing us to have the facilitator here and arrangements. And then again, I would like to thank all the club presidents of the district 306B2 and the multiple district 306 Sri Lanka, as well as for helping us with the participation. And as well as I would like to thank all the Leos and fellow friends from Sri Lanka, as well as we had participants coming in from few other countries, India, Pakistan as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that this workshop helped you in grooming yourselves to be the smartest candidates in acing your job interviews. So on behalf of Leo Club of Colombo New Century, I am Leo Savin Pereira, and you can always reach us for any clarification. We believe that you have got so much of knowledge, and we wish you all the very best in your careers, and hoping that you will be keep in touch with us for more exciting projects to come. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Bubudika.
Savin, I would like to give my vote of thanks also.
Yeah, please.
Uh, yeah, first of all, I would like to thank the chairperson of this project, that is you, Leo Savin Pereira, and Leo Nethmi, and members of the Leo Club of Colombo New Century for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with you all. So thank you so much. Thank you very much for for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming in. So, have a wonderful night, ladies and gentlemen. And we all thank you and wish you all the very best with your careers. Stay in touch with Leo Club of Colombo New Century for more awesome projects. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Bubudika. Bye bye.